going on, guys? So I have seen plenty of people, on YouTube and such, always do this. Now, what I would call it a cliche, is saying, "Oh, I've been trying to decide whether or not to upload this or whether or not to make this video," and that's really what I've been sitting on, is whether or not I wanted to do a video covering what's been going on this week. If you've noticed, I haven't uploaded. It's been a pretty bad week, and then this weekend was no better. There was a huge storm that pretty much has been destroying a whole bunch of stuff in its path since Friday, and it's been pretty it's had me pretty nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I've been having to go back and forth between a storm shelter quite a few times, and I have no yard right now. It's completely flooded, which is the worst I got, thank God. It wasn't any worse. My house is still standing. There's a lot of damage, a town over, a town before me, many towns over. Just an hour from here, an entire town got hit, and it was pretty bad. It's one of those things that just happens. It was a huge cluster of tornadoes. It just kept happening and happening. And obviously, I kept an eye on it and was looking at meteorologists and keeping my ear to the ground. But really what started this was Sunday. The reason why I didn't upload Sunday. So kind of correct a little bit. I did upload Sunday itself because it just didn't really set in. I lost a friend of mine. It was my buddy's wife, who obviously both of them I was really good friends with. They were in a car community, or they are in a car community. They headed a car community. And, I wasn't a big car guy. And they were so nice, they still let me come by because we had good conversation, laughed a lot. I was a goofy little goober, and they indulged in my stupidity, and they absolutely, as far as I knew, loved the company, and I loved their company. And still today, they have always been really close to me, and I've always relied on them for things that, I don't really just call everybody for. They would be the first people I'd call for. I hated bothering them, but it would only be for necessities, and they were very good with cars. So that was, it's always been very handy to be able to call them for things I needed. And losing that person was a lot to kind of, come to realization and really think about. And, finally getting to deal with that or whatever, however I was doing it, went to the visitation, everything, didn't get to go to the funeral. Friday, when I took off to make sure I didn't have to work this weekend, I wake up and find out that a mentor of mine from work, somebody that I have went to for the last 3 years, so consistently until this year when I actually got moved to a different apartment, but I had been picking at his brain. But this dude is a very good mentor and I consider a friend of mine. He passed away. And I'll be having to go to that visitation actually in a day or so. And it was just, that was another hit. And then right after that, straight into a storm, which I tried to stream. But I couldn't stream long because I was worried about the storm. And then all this has just been kind of just collecting over in my head. And these two people were really good people. Real quick, I kind of forgot to say this, but if you are a religious person or anything, just have prayers with the families of the people that I talk to. Just kind of an anonymous prayer. It'd probably really help them out in the time of need they need right now. I'll give you a quick example for the couple. So they were so protective of us, of all the people that they were friends with. A lot of times at these, little car meets, I would drink. A lot of us, they would say you can drink as long as, you kept it in a cup and you kept it great. You didn't get sloppy. You had to be very respectful. And so I would actually pour mine in a cup, had made this big, Yeti cup with ice, and I would just enjoy myself with some Clubtail cocktails. And one day, I guess they thought I had too much. I don't think I did. Still today, don't think I did. And but respectfully, they were like, "Look, we don't want you to leave." I was like, "Okay, well, how am I going to go home?" It wasn't so much I was arguing that I was not going to get a taxi. They said, "Oh, we already got an idea." I lived the furthest from, our car meets for the most part, and instead of making a problem, they found a really good solution. Which, like I said, I wasn't messed up or anything, so I was very agreeable. Still, instead, they went ahead and took my keys and split. One drove their car, one drove my car. They drove me home, and made sure I got home, which, like I said, I was sober, so I really just didn't have much to deal with. And got out. They jumped in the other car, gave each other a hug before that, and I thanked them, and they went home. That was the type of people they were. They'd give you the shirt off their back. They threw parties all the time for everybody that was in not just the community, but just close friends. They would always have their parties at their house. They would have a DJ. They would have snack foods. Like if it was my birthday, they asked what type of food I liked, and I was like, you know what, hand foods, just little mini sandwiches, stuff like that. I was perfect with. And that's what we would end up with. Or sometimes they would do barbecue, or they would do burgers. It was just, but that's just the type of people they were. And then the mentor friend of mine, he passed. He was a sea of knowledge. I learned so much about welding, fabrication. Thinking outside the box was a huge thing. Like, I definitely think very differently than I would think most people do. And to really pick at his brain and learn things was like a new day every single day. It really just sparked my enthusiasm. And he was also an asshole, but it was mutual. I cannot deny that we would pick at each other. We were both heavy set guys and made fun of each other all the time. And we greeted each other with a middle finger every single morning. And I was like, oh, hey. It kept going. It was fun. It was witty to me. And there was times he covered for me. He'd save my ass for dumb shit that had nothing to do with me, but he would still make sure that we were taken care of. He would always make sure he would show me any little tidbit on paperwork that we'd have, because we had a mountainous amount of dumb shit to, always make sure that we had done right. And I was always having to check with him on certain things to make sure I did something right, like definition wise, to make sure I worded it right. And he was very knowledgeable with that. If I had a huge project and I didn't know really where to start, it's like, hey, they got this plan, they got this idea, I got something of an idea. Can you work with me on this? And he would say, hey, give me time. We'll go look at it at lunch. So when everybody was working and when everybody was going to lunch, they gave us free time. We'd go look at one of our projects. It would be a dolly or some of the stuff that holds parts. We would just sit there and he would mull over it, and he would give me his side. I'd give him my side. Either we would just go straight up with his idea and he would show me how to make it and I would make it, or he would actually make it for me and I would just put it on there. He goes, all right, there you go. You can take credit. I'm like, well, I don't need to. He goes, no, you're good. Just go ahead and reuse that same idea and just do it again. And it was that simple. He was always there to help people. He was the guy when all else failed, you called him. Like, quite literally. He was the first, second, and third call. He was the dude that got it done. And I was like trying to be the mini version of him, because every time they needed something done, and it happens even today, they do call me, and I like that. It feels really cool. And it was always good to know that everything that I ever do now, when they call me to do extra work that's outside of my job parameters, is because of him. It was everything that he's taught me that has been the perfect way to go forward in my job. And my job is definitely taking a big hit, and I mean by people, like not the job itself, but all the people there are going to take a big hit missing him, and it's going to suck. But yeah, guys, like I said, I've kept this, I rambled a little bit, but this is the type of stuff that's been going on right now. I had a bunch of videos that I was actually trying to make, and I just couldn't sit down, didn't have the time, or just been trying to kind of mull over everything that's been going on. And then the storm popped up, and that really put a damper on everything. Finally, we're kind of in the clear. I think all we got is some thunderstorms. Power may go out or something, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anything just life-threatening right now. Thank God. Like, all that's finally blown over. Everything's better now, other than the fact I pretty much need a kayak just to go down the road. Pretty much, I have no yard. It's completely flooded from neighbor to neighbor to neighbor. Some roads kind of washed away a little bit. But like I said, where I went to, everything in between, I think from me to town, both towns I can go to are completely, mostly untouched. We still have a gas issue a couple towns over that I usually go to for groceries and stuff. So like the restaurants are shut down. But yeah, they had a ginormous gas leak, and unfortunately, while trying to repair some of it, one of the gas lines, it didn't blow up like fire-wise, but a big mass of pressure injured 3 people and like blew somebody's face almost all the way off, is what I've been seeing. So there's that going on too. And so with the storm, them trying to work on the gas lines, have been complete hell around this area in Mississippi. But yeah, guys, that's about all I got to say to kind of catch everybody up. Y'all have a good one.